What's good, Tamers? This is Akaro from Lockout Games, and today I'm here to bring you a deck list for my favorite Digimon, Machinedramon. With Classic Collection just coming out not too long ago, the Machine and Cyborg archetype got so much support, and this Digimon really capitalizes on that. I really like the way this level 6 is set up, as you're able to pretty much create your own Machinedramon and play them exactly how you want, and it's so much fun. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the cards. Looking at our Digitama, we are running a total of 5 in this deck. We're running 4 of the Pagumon and 1 Sumamon. To me, Pagumon at this point is just a staple card. Its effect is so good on deletion, being able to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a black Digimon, putting it into your hand is amazing. And with this deck, we're going to have a couple of Digimon that are going to get deleted, so it's very effective. In the Sumamon, we play multiple of the same card, so the effect actually comes into play every now and then, and it's nice being able to sneak in an extra 2000 DP on a Digimon or a security check. So that's going to be our Digitama. Let's take a look at our level 3s. First up for our level 3s is going to be 4 of the Classic Collection Haguramon. This card helps provide a lot of the draw power that this deck needs. You're able to trash a Machine or Cyborg card from your hand to draw 2 on play. And I like to use it as a good starter for my level 4s that are either blockers or attackers, because now I don't feel bad for having no inheritable effects. Great card, definitely a 4 of. Then we have 3 of the 2-drop Haguramons. This is also nice because it's super cheap. You're able to get it out onto the field pretty early. In the early game, you're able to memory lock your opponent and keep them from getting too much memory, as well as the same benefits as the other Haguramon, being able to Digivolve on top of it without having to worry about having any inheritable effects. Or if you just need an extra attacker, because this is a very aggressive style deck, you're able to just play this and maybe play multiple in the same turn. Next, we have 3 Toy Agumon. So the rebootability on this is very important. As I said, this is a very offensive style deck, so if my opponent can't deal with my Digimon by fighting them, then they have to use their memory to use an option to deal with them. And to me, that's a win because it slows it down and takes away from using options against my Machinedramon. And then finally, we have Chumon. So this is just a staple black card. I feel like 1 is enough in this deck, as the draw power normally gets you to it exactly when you need. If you wanted to run another one, I would recommend taking out a Haguramon and then using 2 Chumon like that. But those are the level 3s. Let's take a look at the level 4s. First card we're looking at is going to be Tankmon. In this deck, we're running 4. I like it because it's 1 to Digivolve, so it's nice and cheap. You can Digivolve right off of the 2-drop Haguramon on the same turn if you have a Memory Tamer, and the 6000 DP is nice and strong to get over most champions and even some ultimates, depending on what type of deck you're playing against. Our next champion is going to be 4 of the Guardramon from EX01. This card to me enables the offense. The inheritable to draw 2 cards by just pitching 1 when you attack is amazing for the ultimates, and so it really is one of those cards that I look to build on the stack and just start swinging away with my level 5s. And lastly, we have a Mechanarimon, which is good against those early decks that like to run a whole bunch of rookies or a whole bunch of low-cost things, and you can just keep blocking away and not have to worry about it. I don't want to go too defensive, so I really only run 1 Mechanarimon, and it seems to get the job done. So those are the level 4s. Let's take a look at the level 5s. The combination of level 5s that you put in the Machinedramon deck, in my opinion, really make it special and unique. So if you lean to a more offensive side, you can do that, and if you want to be more defensive, you can do that as well. So for my iteration of this, I decided to kind of go middle of the road, leaning a little bit more to the offensive, but still wanted to be able to answer as many problems on the field that I could. So here's what I have. I have 2 Andromon. That's going to be able to give me blocker on my opponent's turn. I thought 3 might have been too much, so I just went with 2. Then we have 2 Metal Tyrannomon directly to pair up with those, giving it reboot on my opponent's turn. Then we have Gigadramon from set 6, just making the Machinedramon a little bit harder to kill, giving it plus 2000 DP as an inheritable, and really making it an annoying blocker for my opponent to get past. Finally, on the defensive side, we have Megadramon. This is just going to give it blocker during all turns, and it's a different card number than all the others, so it really fits well into the level 5 strategy. On the offensive side of the house, we're running 2 Metal Mamemons. I really like the ability to destroy a Digimon with a play cost of 5 or less. This just gets rid of extra little rookies that your opponent may play to try and flood the board towards the end, or it could even get rid of some blockers, but I think it's a very powerful effect that originally I underestimated. Lastly, to wrap up the offense, we have Volcanamon to get the extra security attack when your opponent has unsuspended Digimon, Megadramon from BT6 to make the Machinedramon 13,000 on your turn, and then the Megadramon from the Classic Collection, giving it security attack as well. And it has a nice on-play effect of deleting up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP or less. Wrapping it all up with the Metal Greymon from the Classic Collection that has an on-attack ability to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 DP or less, and giving your Machinedramon piercing. I feel like this ratio of level 5s really works out very well, as you're able to answer most problems that happen, and I've had very little times to where I look into my trash and have too many of the same numbered cards to where I wasn't able to get the full effect of the Machinedramon from playing it from my hand. One of the best parts about having cards like Metal Mamemon, Megadramon, or Metal Greymon from the Classic Collection is that they let you get rid of the pesky cards like Chumon or Madoki Betamon that keep you from gaining memory, which is absolutely devastating to this deck as you're not able to use Machinedramon's effect. So having cards that can come out of nowhere and destroy those Digimon without having to use an option really benefit this deck. So those are the level 5s that I use. Let's take a look at the level 6 and wrap up our Megas. Now the moment we've all been waiting for, Machinedramon. I'm running 3 of the Classic Collection Machinedramons. This is because I find 4 is a little bit too many. There's been multiple times where throughout the game I've only been able to actually play 2 from my hand, and there's not enough level 5s in the trash or my hand to actually put underneath as Digivolution sources if I had a 3rd or a 4th. So to make up for that, I'm running 1 of the Machinedramon from the starter deck, as this actually feels pretty good to Digivolve on top of a level 5 with. It gives 2 Digimon reboot, so it can give itself reboot, protecting it pretty well, and it makes it really easy to go into my level 7s without feeling like I needed to use its effect or I wasted the effect of the EX01 Machinedramon. And with the amount of draw power that this deck has, I've had 0 problems finding this Machinedramon when I absolutely needed it. So I think 3 is a good number with 1 slot open for a more tech Machinedramon like the one from the starter deck. And speaking of tech cards, let's take a look at our level 7s. So the one level 7 that we run is Omnimon Zwart. Honestly, this card is just perfect for this. It's a big Digimon to swing with. It bounces Machinedramon back to your hand so you can replay it. It brings back blockers if you need it, attackers if you need it. Honestly, it is one of the most technical cards we have in the deck that just allows you to do so much. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tamers and options to wrap things up. This deck can suffer pretty bad if it gets memory locked, so we're running 2 Izzy Izumis. This also has the added bonus of letting us know what the top 3 cards are, so when you have as much draw power as you do in this deck, or you're looking for specific cards, it's just amazing. Analog Youth really fuels the aggressive playstyle, as we can attack in early and often with the level 5s to gain a memory if they get deleted, or we can search for the cards that we need, picking those out, while the level 5s that we don't get sent to the trash. All in all, it's just amazing, and a really good card to have in this type of deck. And then for a tech card, we actually have TK and Kari, the dual tamers. I like this a bit better than the Joe and the Izzy dual tamers because people are able to play around that, just not leaving 2 Digimon on their side of the field, where it's a lot harder to manage security against your opponent when you're actually trying to win the game. So I find that I'm more likely to get 2 memory from this than I am from a Joe and Izzy. And the secondary effect that you normally would get from Joe and Izzy being able to draw a card when the Digimon is deleted isn't really necessary, as we have a lot of ways to draw cards in this, so much so that I find myself getting really close to decking out normally in games because I've gone through most of my deck and it's in trash, and I'm just waiting to find or play my Machinedramon on my turn to finish everything off. Speaking of drawing cards, we can go into our first option, and that's going to be Ultimate Connection. We're running 4 of because this card is just amazing. It is a Hammer Spark when it's in the security, It draws you one card and gains you one memory, and it fuels your trash so that you can play your Machinedramon as early as possible. And there is no better feeling than chaining multiple of these back to back and just watching your memory go from 2 all the way up to 5 while you're able to just draw more cards. Black Memory Boost is great at making this deck even more consistent, picking that one Digimon from that list of 4 that you get to look at that you need to finish off a certain stack, or to just start drawing cards by hard playing like the Hagurumon. It's all in all great, and I find that 1 is the perfect number for this, as we don't want to gum up our hand too much. And finally, we have Iron Fisted Onslaught at 2. This is great for taking out the large Digimon that your opponent has, especially if they've made their way up till Mega, or if your opponent decided to go wide and has multiple Digimon with the same on-play cost. It's great for doing that, and you love to see it in security, as you are always going to benefit from it. And that's the list. I'm going to turn it over to some strengths and weaknesses that the deck has, as well as some common things that I like to look out for when I'm piloting it, and then we'll get that gate closed. This deck is able to handle a lot of different situations. A lot of that has to do with the level 5s and the inherent abilities they give to Machinedramon. Depending on what you have going on the board, you can either pop small Digimon, or you can draw a whole bunch of cards that you need. A lot of your draw power is going to come from your option being Ultimate Connection, as well as Guardramon and the Hagurumon. Because of this, I like to play the deck very aggressively and very fast. If I can get a Hagurumon onto the field and Digivolve into a Tankmon, I go ahead and start swinging. Otherwise, I Digivolve into a Guardramon and then get a level 5 on top of that so that I can start drawing cards every time that I swing. You'll soon find that you're going to have your hand and your trash full, and you're going to be able to play your Machinedramon for 7 every time you need to. But beware, cards that shut down alternative ways of getting memory other than Tamers really hurt this deck. Stuff like Chumon and Madoki Betamon are going to just kill Ultimate Connection and Machinedramon's actual ability. Be careful how early you play Analog Youth. If you don't have any other Tamers on the board, I would be wary about using it, as you could mill through your TK or your Izzy, and getting 3 memory a turn is going to be that much harder. It's not necessary, but it really does slow the deck down. The same could be said for all of the EX01 level 5s. Be careful with their ability to look at the top 3 cards. You may want to get to Machinedramon as fast as possible, but you don't want to trash any of your useful cards too early in the game. And finally, if you're playing against blue, their ability to remove your Digivolution sources is going to slow you down a lot. But with a little bit of patience and some proper play, you can come out on top. Well, Tamers, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps us out. And let me know, what other decks would you like to see built and played on the channel, and I'll try and get those done. Until next time, let's get that gate closed.